This evening, let's explore Zen, the full lotus, and elitism. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. Welcome to Meditate Like a Jedi. This is the Lama you are looking for. This evening, we could chant and meditate and enjoy a lesson or two. But first, if you love Star Wars and you wish to meditate as transformatively as Princess Leia learned to do in the events following Return of the Jedi, be sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell. If at any point during this evening's live stream you have a question, there is no need to be shy. Simply type your question in great detail in the chat window on the right-hand side of the screen. Unless, of course, you're watching a replay, then you'll want to type your question in the comment area below the video. Also known as the doodly-doo if you're a big old nerd like myself. What is that? Oh, that's my cane. Okay, let me move that, get that off camera. Okay. I'm going to tap button number 5. T on Reddit posted, I want to do Zazen, but I'm not flexible enough to sit in the full lotus position. So I'm going to stop right here and just give a spontaneous commentary. I'm going to assume the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to assume T is a good-hearted individual who is sincere. But for every sincere individual, there are others who are not. There are people who not only A, don't want to meditate, but B, want to feel sanctimonious while not meditating. So they dream up a lofty sounding reason why they can't meditate. But that's just silly. If you don't want to meditate, don't meditate. Don't squander what time you have left in life trying to feel righteous. Just make peace with who you are and what you've done. Now, back to T. I'm assuming T is a good-hearted person who really wants to do Zazen, but they've been exposed to some teaching that you can only do Zazen in the full lotus pose. Let's continue. But before we do, consider this. Arguably the founder of Chinese Chan, which is known in Japan as Zen, was Bodhidharma. Bodhidharma lived a rough and tumble life. And eating one meal a day, being cold in winter and sweltering in the summer. Based on his writings, he infers that there are sufferings, there are misfortunes, there are difficulties, there are hardships. As a differently abled Buddhist Lama, I know what it's like to develop bone spurs and arthritis. Does that mean if I can no longer perform the full lotus, I have to stop meditating? Did Buddha ever teach that? No. Based on people's health, or circumstances, or period of life, people sit or stand, or walk, or lie down however they can in order to practice. Let's continue. T wrote, I'm not sure what I should do here. I'll be upfront and tell you, I was an addict for about 10 years and neglected basically every part of my life that could be neglected. T continues, I've been clean for 7 months and have grown a lot spiritually through that time. And I've been very attracted to Zen Buddhism, after finding that Taoism and Buddhism are what worked for me more than any other spiritual disciplines. Right now, full lotus is completely out of the question. But even when I sit in basic cross-legged position, I can't quite keep my back straight, and I don't know what I should do. I'm not sure if I should sit wrong until eventually everything is strengthened and I can lift my spine straight. Should I not do zazen at all until I can do it properly? Please help me with some advice. I eventually would like to be able to sit properly in full lotus. And if you're going to tell me to do some stretches, how should I be doing meditation zazen in the meantime? Thanks. And by the way, my instruction on how, coming from the book, Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind. Okay, so before we go on. It is not uncommon for people in recovery to feel great guilt. And after a very long time of justifying, minimizing, rationalizing, and excusing everything they did, said, or chose, they kind of go to the other extreme and blame themselves for everything. And sometimes, just sometimes, people will say, this is good for me, but there appears to be an obstruction, an obstacle to me doing it perfectly, and it's all my fault. I deserve not to be able to do that which is good for me because I've done bad things in the past. Now, I'm not saying that's what T's saying or thinking, but it's not uncommon for people in T's position to feel that way. So allow me to take a moment to remind everyone of what they probably already know. Contemporary science has verified that addiction is not a moral failing. Addiction is not an indictment on our morality or our intellect or our love. It is a dysfunction of our brainstem's dopamine-oriented reward system. We evolved a dopamine-oriented reward system to ensure that we would live long enough to procreate, because species who did not develop that did not live long enough to procreate. And so the only species who passed on their genetic material were the ones who developed a dopamine-oriented reward system, driving them to copulate and drink water, eat food, and sleep. The basic things we need to do to live in order to pass on genetic material. Evolution is a funny thing. Hold your breath. After a few moments, you can't think straight, and your only thought is air. That's not because you're morally weak. That's because our species evolved to fight for air, because without air, we don't live long enough to pass on genetic material. When someone's addicted, their wires are crossed, to quote one of my physicians, and their body confuses the illicit substance for air or water or food or sleep. Trying not to sleep, you may be able to make it 16 hours, maybe it'll make it 20 hours, but at a certain point, your body's gonna make you sleep. Same thing with addiction. Now, some people, and it's very sad, try to fight addiction by getting leverage on themselves, by really, really relying on fear and self-loathing. That might work in the short term, but that does nothing to fix or to reset the broken dopamine-oriented reward system. Fortunately, there are programs out there that are super cheap and super effective. And if you are curious about that, just poke around the description area below the video. I've got so many links to all kinds of really good free stuff. So before I get to the response I typed up 6 days ago. I'd like to explore just different sitting options. So first, in order to prepare for that, I'm going to tap button 4, go to jumbo screen, and quick like a bunny review sitting options. Let's review various sitting options. If for whatever medical reason you cannot sit on the floor, that's fine. Sit on a chair, on a firm chair with your tush at the edge of the chair, your feet flat on the ground. Do not slouch back in the chair, but keep your head over your shoulders and your shoulders over your tush, and that'll be fine. For those who wish to learn to sit on the ground, cool. Let me show you some things that might be helpful. Going to adjust the camera here. Try not to be too salacious in my presentation. And also try not to knock over my water. Okay, so there is the first pose some people call the cobbler's pose or the Ganesh pose or the Padmasambhava pose. Feet touching together. I'm not sure if you can see. There you go. Feet touching together. Tushy on a yoga blanket. So a yoga blanket, you'd find them for about $20 on Amazon. You fold them up to form something like a square, which is very nice because that way you're not sitting on the hard floor or you're not sweating all over the carpet, because you can just put this bad boy in the wash every few days. Okay, second thing, there is the easy pose where the left heel is placed in the center of the right thigh and the right heel is placed in the center of the left thigh. Now in this position, you can adjust the your tush, swing your tush back, and sit in a pretty good posture, pretty strong posture. This is not my favorite pose. Then we come to the quarter lotus. That is my default pose, and if you look at the oldest Buddhist statuary, the Buddha is depicted sitting in the quarter lotus pose as opposed to the full lotus. So for the quarter lotus pose, one leg, one shin is flat on the ground, and you turn out from your hips, not from your knees, because your hips are ball joints and your knees are hinge joints. And if you don't know the difference, you'll be making friends with an orthopedic surgeon. Okay, so, and then the other shin rests upon the bottom shin, turning out from the hips. And this is my favorite pose. Now, some people are enchanted with the lotus pose, the full lotus. And so first they make friends with the half lotus, where the top ankle rests upon its opposite thigh, and the opposite foot gives something for the top knee to rest upon. And then in time, that one moment, please. M-E. Okay. That's enough of that. So, when the bottom foot swings forward, the top leg, gravity gently pulls the top leg down until in time and allows the hip to open up even more until the knee begins to lower towards the floor. And then in time, when you're ready, you can pull up into a full lotus. Now, personally, I don't like it. My arthritic hips no longer like it, and my big quads from doing squats don't like it. But I'm fine with quarter lotus. Now, a popular pose in Burma is for your bottom leg to be facing, I'm not sure which angle to use, 180-degree angle in relationship to your body, and your outer leg is at a catty corner like this. This is very popular. This is also known as the Tara pose. Many people like it, not everybody. I don't like it, it's too hard. I find it places an asymmetric pressure on my back. So now you have, one moment. So now you have various options to keep yourself busy. As someone whose health is challenged, I switch back and forth in the quarter lotus posture because I used to power through the pain, but the pain just made my arthritis worse because pain was my body trying to tell you, hey, I've got a bone spur here, I'm slicing into the lining here. And by ignoring that, I wasn't giving my body a chance to use its natural processes to deal with that. So in my old age, I've learned that when the pain reaches a certain threshold, I'll switch. Maybe the right leg will be on top, then maybe the left leg will be on top. And then typically at the 30-minute point, I reach for my zafu and I sit on that. So I give myself basically 4 variations. Left foot on the bottom, ass on the ground. Right foot and leg on the bottom, ass on the ground. Left leg on the bottom, ass on the zafu. Right leg on the bottom, ass on the zafu. So that's 4 variations, and it helps me as an individual to survive the rigors of meditation. If something else works better for you, tell me about it in the chat window. Now, let's go back to, I would like to take a moment or two to read to you the official response I wrote 6 days ago. And you might say, 6 seems pretty random. How'd you come up with that number? Well, doing it 6 days ahead of time gives people who are interested in that topic a chance to register for the live stream. And by register, I mean just set up a reminder on their smartphone to watch it, if they want to. Like the cordyceps infiltrating the hosts on HBO's The Last of Us, Zen has been infiltrated by folks who are rigid, fearful, controlling, elitist, and competitive. These are the people who insist that Zen is only for those who have the health to sit in the full lotus position. However, in the Buddha's 3 meditation manual, sitting cross-legged is only mentioned in passing. In the most ancient of statuary, the Buddha is depicted as sitting in what some call the quarter lotus position, the relatively easy pose wherein one's right shin rests upon one's left shin in a manner distinctly parallel. The erroneous teaching that one cannot hope to practice the Buddha's teachings unless one has mastered the lotus position is egregiously elitist, exclusionary, and cruel. In the Sutta for the Sick and the Dying, the protagonist is led through guided meditation as he lay dying on his bed. In the Satipatthana Sutta, one reads of meditating while walking, standing, sitting, and lying down. Bodhidharma is credited with bringing Dhyana Buddhism into China, where it became known as Chan, and which, when brought to Japan, became known as Zen. In his writings, there is no such demand that the student sit only in the full lotus position. Find a teacher who is mentally flexible, loving, laid-back, egalitarian, cooperative, and who has the wisdom and compassion to teach all who come to him and her or her, regardless of their health or flexibility. In a short period of time, you too could meditate like a Jedi. Okay, what I'd like to do now is to spend approximately 45 seconds on housekeeping. Every 12 hours, I broadcast a live meditation class without any ads. This channel is supported by the generosity of viewers just like you. With your help, this channel could come to support the next generation of nuns, monks, yogis, lamas, and even brick-and-mortar meditation centers, each replete with a resident teacher and their apprentice. If you'd like to help out for as little as the cost of 1 cup of coffee a month, you could use your smartphone to capture the QR code on the screen in front of you, or you could simply type the Patreon link or click the Patreon link in the description area below the video. This evening, let's practice the latest iteration of love and letting go. I'm going to take a moment to blow my nose. Okay, tally-ho. Just as an athlete will warm up before going to bat, we can warm up our neural pathways for love and enthusiasm by performing a chant of refuge and bodhicitta. May I liberate all beings by relying on the moon as example and instructions and students. May I liberate all beings by relying on the moon as example and instructions and students. May I liberate all beings by relying on the Buddha's example and instructions and students. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, let's chant together as a team. The 11 benefits of loving kindness. Thus I have heard on one occasion the Blessed One was living near Savatthi at Jetavana at Anathapindika monastery. Then he addressed the monks, saying, "Monks, venerable sir," said the monks by way of reply. The Blessed One then spoke as follows: "Monks, 11 advantages are to be expected from the release or deliverance of heart. By familiarizing oneself with the thoughts of loving kindness, metta. By the cultivation of loving kindness, by constantly increasing these thoughts. By regarding loving kindness as a vehicle of expression, and also as something to be treasured by living in conformity with these thoughts. By putting these ideas into practice and by establishing them. What are the 11 benefits? He sleeps in comfort. He awakens in comfort. He sees no evil dreams. He is dear to human beings. He is dear to non-human beings. Devas, gods protect him. Fire, poison, sword, and cannot touch him. His mind can center quickly. His countenance is serene. He dies without being confused in mind. If he fails to attain our hardship, the highest attainment here and now, he will be born in the Brahma world. These 11 advantages, monks, are to be expected from the release of thought by this is a tough one. Familiarizing oneself with thoughts of loving kindness by cultivation of loving kindness, by constantly increasing these thoughts, by regarding loving kindness as a vehicle of expression, and also as something to be treasured, by living in conformity with these thoughts, by putting these ideas into practice, and by establishing them. So said the Blessed One, and those monks rejoice at the words of the Blessed One. All right, Cowabunga. For the first 30 minutes of practice, we're going to bring love, and we're going to bring the 4 bases of mindfulness into the path of love, beginning with the circumstantial. We're going to wish that all beings' circumstances, we're going to wish that all circumstances for all beings be profoundly happy. During each energetic inhalation, we could silently and mentally recite happy lots, that's 3 syllables. And during each relaxing exhalation, we could recite 3 more syllables for all beings. Now, when I say recite, I mean mentally recite them. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to practice this one exercise right now for 4 sets of 16 rounds. How do we do that? How do we count that? I'm going to take a moment to show you, or to review, if this is your second time coming, Bengali crease counting. Consider, if you will, your left hand. Each finger has 3 sets of creases and a tip. So I recommend you advance your thumb during each energetic or enthusiastic inhalation. First round of breaths, second round of breaths, third round of breaths, fourth round of breaths, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th. And now that's how you count rounds. And of course, a round is both an in-breath followed by an out-breath. Now, we talked about sets, though. So how we're going to count multiple sets? We count the sets on the right hand. First set, second set, third set, fourth set. Counting 4 sets of 16 rounds gives you 64 breaths. Counting 16 sets of 16 rounds gives you 256 rounds, or approximately 30 minutes of practice. Okay, now let's continue. I'm going to return to button number 9. So let's practice. Now, it's not our job to believe or visualize or even emote. If all we do is silently and mentally recite these words in harmony with our breathing, we're going to strengthen our loving intention. Not necessarily our emotion, but our will, our volition. And that's what counts right now. Let's meditate. Let us practice the physical loving kindness of Kaya Metta. We're using the word forms as a monosyllabic synonym for bodies. You're human, you're not a machine. And various memories and fantasies and thoughts will come to mind. When various people come to mind, just throw your love at them. So whether they were kind to you or cruel to you, throw your wish that they be healthy and happy at them. It's like throwing rose petals at someone. Can't do a lot of harm with rose petals. So what I think I'll do now is switch texts. I'm going to take a moment to slide a circular cushion under my tush. Oh, goodness. So you'll see there are two exercises on the page. So first in breath, crowns. First out breath, feet. Second in breath, root, meaning perineum. Second out breath, hands. And we just keep circling through these 4 exercises, or these 4 mental recitations. May each being take auspicious rebirth, master the Buddha's path, and then help all others do likewise. May all beings practice of kind communication, conduct, and commerce was spontaneous and uncontrived. May everyone be free from stress, may everyone be happy. May no one be separated from their happiness. May everyone have balance from the tyranny of hating, craving, and clinging freed. If you feel that I have earned it, please type something in the chat window. Give this live stream a thumbs up and share it on social media. In approximately 10.5 hours, we could explore Buddha's fire discourse, as well as chant and meditate some more. Until then, may you and yours be happy and healthy, and if you are as geeky as me, this is the way.